Hey everybody, you're watching A Physio Named Jonah. That's this guy. Today, as you can tell based on the setup, is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be going through an exercise, specifically how to best perform a bicep curl. For those of you wondering why it's a bit of a different setup, it's because I'm in our spare bedroom where we do our home gym workouts, so I figured this was the proper location considering we're talking about a resistance training exercise. Bicep curls are an exercise that are very simple to perform well, but are often performed very, very poorly. And this can defeat the whole purpose of the exercise. In today's video, I'll be highlighting what you want to focus on, what you want to avoid, as well as why these things are important. If you are new around here, consider hitting that thumbs up button down below or subscribing to the channel. I am a physiotherapist working in Canada who makes physio-related videos, so if you want to learn a bit more about your body and how it moves, come hang out, come on in, all are welcome. A bicep curl is an exercise designed to stress the biceps brachii muscle. Now we all know where that muscle is because we all love to flex on them, which makes it very visually easy to see whether or not this muscle is working during an exercise. The action of the biceps brachii is to flex the elbow and supinate the wrist. This means that it helps take your arm from an extended position to a bent position with your palms facing towards the ceiling. So if we want to train that muscle using weights like dumbbells, it would make sense that we would take a weight through that exact movement. Here's what that movement would look like. Pretty straightforward, right? So how does everyone mess it up? Here are the things that you want to avoid with this exercise. This technique here is probably one of the most common forms of poor technique that I see for the bicep curl. Now, in that representation of the curl, I'm being what my fiance likes to describe lovingly as a bit much, as I exaggerate the momentum. But the point is, if we're using momentum to actually lift the weights, we're not going to be using our muscles as much as we are the momentum that's created. Using momentum to lift in a bicep curl, which is fundamentally an isolation exercise, is not going to be as effective. There are plenty of exercises out there that do involve using momentum or powerful movements, but the bicep curl, an isolation exercise for the biceps brachii, is not one of them. With an exercise like this, the less the rest of your body moves, the better. We want to isolate the weight and the movement of the weight on the muscle group that we're targeting as much as possible. Essentially, using momentum in an exercise like the bicep curl is just wasteful. It's taking force that we want to be focused onto our biceps muscle and leaking it out into a bunch of other muscle groups around there and just general body momentum. This next technique nitpick is a bit more of a nitpick, but I'll share with you why I try to avoid this. Now, as I'm performing this bicep curl, you'll see that my elbows are coming forwards from my side and I'm lifting my shoulders towards the front a bit. Because I've brought my elbows forward from my sides as I lift the weights up to my shoulder, I'm no longer emphasizing the contraction of my biceps as much as I could be. Now, to be fair, do the biceps brachii have a role in shoulder flexion or lifting the arm to the front? Yes. But do they have as large of a role in shoulder flexion as the anterior deltoid? No. Once that elbow comes forward, we're no longer going to be isolating to the biceps as much. The anterior deltoid is going to kick in and be able to help more as the weight is brought up. Again, when you compare techniques like this, what you have to think about is that the weight is going through almost the exact same pathway, but the way that we're doing it is different. So if we're focusing on one muscle group as opposed to recruiting 3 or 4 big ones to create a movement, we're going to get more focus onto the targeted muscle group that we want if we just perform a more controlled specific movement as opposed to a larger, more uncontrolled one. So during your bicep curl, if you want to focus more on the bicep and less of the anterior deltoid, which we can hit with other exercises, keep those elbows pinned by your side and don't let the elbows sneak forwards. Alright guys, last recommendation for the bicep curl. Hang with me here. This technique here is my personal preference for the average standing dumbbell biceps curl. The biceps perform the action of supination like we talked about before, right? So by turning the palms towards the ceiling at the top of the movement, we're going to add more contractile force into the biceps brachii because we incorporate the supination movement. This stands in contrast to more of the hammer curl, where the arms stay in the neutral position, or into a general curl, where the hands stay in a palms up position the whole time. By incorporating both, or having the hands in to start, and finishing with the palms towards the ceiling, we're taking the biceps brachii through its full range of motion and incorporating both of the main movements that it is responsible for. In summary, my recommendation when you're performing a standing bicep curl to target the biceps brachii using dumbbells is to keep your elbows pinned at your side, lift without using momentum, and focus on turning the palms towards the ceiling at the top of the movement before slowly returning back to the starting position. So that is it for today's video. Try that technique out and have some fun with it. Remember, most importantly, don't be this person at the gym.
Hey, how's it going? Come here often or what? Looks like you do.
Don't be like that. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something new about the biceps curl and are excited to go put it into action. And let me know how that practice goes, or if you have any thoughts on this exercise, an exercise you'd like a physio to cover in the future, get in touch with me in the comments section down below. I do my best to respond within a day or two, so I look forward to chatting with you there. But most importantly though, guys, as always, move your body, have a laugh today, and I will see you at the next video.
Come here often or what? Looks like you do. I love this song.